Thank you very much, Cathaoirleach. And firstly, I'd like to thank the Labour senators for bringing forward this. And I've already let you know my support in this issue. And when Minister O'Gorman was here previously, I did say that I would be supportive. Because I think for far too long, I'd have to disagree with Senator Mullen. I do think that there is a taboo around women's health care, and you know, the life of a woman is wonderfully diverse and changes much more than the life of a man. And I don't think that we recognise that in our workforce. I don't think that we really take on board the fact that 50% of the workforce does have that variety and that different life course. And that means that we have to have legislation that reflects that. And I've stood up here before in relation to the menopause. I believe that there are opportunities to ensure that people can take leave and that they don't have to call it sick leave either, because it's not necessarily that you're being sick. But to go back to the issue, which I think that Senator Mullen may have diverted us from a little bit, you know, there are very few women that I know that haven't been through either problems with conceiving or with having had miscarriages. Very, very few, and most people are silent on it. And there is a culture that people are quiet for the first 12 to 14 weeks, waiting to see how it goes. That's because we're all waiting to see will this life that we envisage and that we expect for ourselves actually follow through. And that's because we know we didn't need any statistics to tell us it's 1 in 5. I would argue that it's probably closer to 1 in 4 to tell us that that's the experiences of women. And the women that I speak to don't tell their employers that they have suffered miscarriage, don't tell their doctors necessarily. In some cases it's incredibly painful, and really women are left to their own devices. And I was thinking about force majeure leave, and I was actually thinking that the partner of a person going through miscarriage could actually be entitled to 3 days leave in certain circumstances, and the person going through the miscarriage and that physical experience is not entitled to leave. So it does need to be dealt with, and not in every case, but certainly in some cases that is correct. So she's using her entitlement to sick days, and the partner may not be in certain circumstances. I welcome that Minister O'Gorman is looking at doing research, because I think that there are a number of other things that we need to look at, and some of the senators have spoken about, you know, the anomalies maybe in this legislation, which I'm sure are recognised around whether it's 24 weeks or 28 weeks. But one way or another, it still has to be dealt with, because India has leave, New Zealand has leave, but just because they're the only 2 countries in the world doesn't mean that it's not the right thing for every country in the world to do. And this is one situation where we don't have to wait to be called out, but where we could step up to the mark and really give women the support that they need. But I would also say there are other circumstances. If you look down through the list of the type of leave, there are other circumstances. I know my colleague Patrick Costello has raised the issue of leave for foster parents, for instance. So I think that that has to be looked into. And we do have to have a sense of equality at the end of it. And Minister O'Gorman, as has been outlined there by Senator Hearn, Minister O'Gorman has put in place things that were anomalies in the past, and we need to make sure that we have legislation that doesn't actually have those anomalies, because there is that sense in which everybody needs to be treated fairly, whether they're, you know, whatever family background or family type that they're coming from, and whether they are going through the pregnancy themselves or whether it is somebody else on their behalf. So, look, I welcome very much the legislation. I think that there is work to do on it, and therefore I do think that it's important that we have that research. But now we are talking about these issues, very personal and very sensitive issues, but it's really important because we are public representatives, and that is our job, to talk about these things and to bring them to light. So I would thank the Labour Party very much. Wow.